this video is a react video. I want to talk about the abilities and what I think the backstory and something about the new wulin hero, the Masters of Flame. And the special ability with them is like every new hero in For Honor always have a special ability. Like one is the unblockable execution, the other one have a special bolt, and another one is like a downward blast, and this one use fire. And the things I want interesting for me is the like the Chinese longsword, the ZHANHU, is a very interesting weapon because of we already have one hero that can say it's gonna have a very similar weapon as the ZHANHU, but the things I would really want to try next Thursday when the new hero is released for people who have season pass, to really do a real historical, so much possible historical comparison with the ZHANHU and the Kensei sword, and see what the similarity and what the differences are in this kind of thing. And now I will talk about a little. I think about the armor more in detail, about the new wulin heroes armor sets, and what I think about them. What I think is this kind of thing, and the other thing is the thing I not really get. They really get is our inspiration. They are inspiration from different movies, like the Brotherhood of Swords. The other thing is, are they based on from the Ming Dynasty, or are they based on the Song Dynasty, or are they based on the Tang Dynasty? It was really not so clear for me when she talks about that. So I think that they are from Ming Dynasty, and they are a special soldier for protection of the Emperor and the Empress, and this kind of thing. And yeah, let's continue.
So we need to go back to the PowerPoint next. Almost there.
Come on, Max. Come on, Max.
Good.
All right. So let's see it.
So first thing first, we had a talk with our team in Chengdu.
Yep.
Because we're adding this Chinese culture in the wulin family, and these guys were very helpful, sending some good references. I would like to point out the help of a guy who was not even part of the For Honor.
Yeah, and other thing is, like every armor and costume and clothing for each of the heroes in For Honor game is like the samurai use like wood and armor in this game, and wood and iron of course, and the wulin are using like leather and silk, like leather, silk, and iron. So it's very interesting that they use different material for different heroes. Like the knight is iron, and the Vikings is just leather, and like they always use like wulin is much more silk, like more royal, like much more elegant, much more. Sorry for that. Much more elegant in the way how they dress. They are much more newer to the battle scene in the For Honor world. They are much more. I think they are much more. Not like the other one, like the Viking, the Knight, and the Samurai, are much more hurt after the war. They were longer in the war, so the wulin are much more. It may be a very bad word. Much more cleaner because they are much more newer to the battle scene. This kind of thing. And other thing, like if people, like if you remember in the early in the early beginning of the For Honor game, in the story mode, there was an elephant. So the Japanese was in the Japanese castle, a big elephant. This is a very big speculation I have now. I think the elephant was a present from the wulin. Just call it right now a wulin kingdom. When the wulin heroes are from the wulin, and they send the elephant as a gift to the Japanese kingdom in the game. So this was a big speculation I have now, that it was the wulin give the Japanese, the samurai in the game, the elephant. If you remember the elephant from the story mode, it was an elephant, I think a white elephant, and this elephant was from it's my speculation, from the Wulin kingdom, from the Wulins. For we know in real history that the Japanese from and the Tang, they was connected like in many diplomatic meetings and diplomatic and different. They meet each other and to the kingdom of Korean, Japanese, the Persian, the Sassanid. It was very connected with the Tang dynasty, and even people from Africa also come to the Tang and the Ming dynasty as emissaries and this kind of thing. And in many other cultures, this kind of thing, Indians of course also come, and so on. Yeah, and I already said that before in the second video. I talked about this kind of thing is one of the helmets. They are inspiration from our Ottoman helmet. You can see the grey one with the gold and like the plume up, and the ear protection is the Ottoman. It's not the Chinese helmet; it's an Ottoman helmet. And yeah, it should be nice to see Ottoman faction in For Honor. I think now is good. I think this very good if they do. This is the last hero for this For Honor game, and then they can do a new For Honor game in the future, and then they can use a new faction like the Middle Eastern Turkic faction, like the Ottoman, other Turkic people, an Indian faction like the Marathas, the Sikhs, and the Rajputs, and bring them different weapons. But it's so good they have now. I think it's perfect with a new For Honor game, with a new kind of heroes from different cultures, like the Celtic people from different time periods, like from Spanish Celt, Irish, the Picts, different weapons. Like many different variation. African warriors, Native Americans warriors like the Comanche, Haida, Aztecs, Inca, Toltecs. So there's many good variation. Greek faction, the Macedonian, the Spartans, the Corinthians. So you can make a very good next For Honor game with with new faction. And like if you just think about Greek faction, is so many variation of Greeks warriors. There's not only the Spartans. Of course, the Spartan is the most what people think about when they think about the Greek warriors. They think about the Spartans, but like we have to remind ourselves. The greatest warriors in Greeks, like the best expansioner of Greek was the Macedonian armies. And I think this is perfect with the Macedonian warriors and the Spartans. And of course the Sicilians. And then we have the Roman faction we can do, like Etruscans, the Samnites, and different kind of things. There's so many nice things we can do. As the next For Honor game, I think this one is perfect. As this one is a perfect finish to it, like perfect last here is perfect. I'm very glad for that, perfect. And then in the future you can focus on the new For Honor game and make a very nice new faction, like an African faction and this kind of thing. Yeah, let's continue with the actual video about the new wulin armor and this kind of thing. Yeah.
Team.
Oh,
He was
really?
working
Okay.
at Ubisoft ZHANHU,
Yep.
but he's a fan of the game and he practiced martial arts.
Okay.
And when we went there in China, he did this amazing presentation with different type of weapons, how we use them, with very good knowledge. And he made us change our mind about the weapon. This
Oh.
is how we went with the ZHANHU.
ZHANHU, yeah.
So he's called Bruce. We can even call him Master Bruce. Very good work. Thank you very much,
Shout out
Bruce.
to Master Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
So with all the references, with the bio, this is where we get to start the sketch process.
Oh, okay. Wow, so those are all iterate.
Assassin look like
That's with all
the first set. Basically, there's one thing that was constraining us for technically, which was a long rope.
Yes.
And now the tech evolved, our game evolved, and we could be able to make it work. So
One thing I just want to say about these ZHANHU and FUHU hats, they're common of in Chinese history that the royal and the people working under the emperor, like with high-ranking people, they always have this silk a hat, and the silk hat was a symbol of authority, a symbol of high status, like similar when they have in other culture, like in European culture, they have this kind of with the hair. They have a special. It's like it's a simple way to say it. Is they are very showing them as very high ranking people in the Chinese court. I think the highest one is of course the emperor is the highest of them all, but these are very high ranking. This only the greatest and the most high ranking people have this kind of hats. I am very, very sorry, I don't know the real name in Chinese, what they call in Chinese, but they are a symbol of authority and symbol of nobility. Sorry, nobility may be a wrong word to say, but it's a symbol of high status symbol, this kind of thing. Yeah, let's continue.
this is we took that chance. And he and she has that robe type of outfits, gears.
Yeah,
The assassin look like gear.
And the noble aspect of that character.
And yeah, and the other thing I think is very interesting that they can use a similar hat as the Nebusha have to this one, and they are they are different, but they are also very similar to each other. And I really like that they can do a very good comparison, like with the Chinese culture from different time period, like Ming and the Song and the Tang. I think they was inspired of with the armor set and this kind of thing, and they can bring that so you really know this is a very Chinese style to it, and this kind of thing. And I really like that they take history aspect to the armor. And they also do historical liberation too. They also take a different thing. For of course, you cannot find maybe in a real armor this kind of thing. There's a hat. You don't use this hat in real war, in a real historical. But I think it's very nice that they try so much as possible to mix real reality and kind of reality liberation with the armor set. That I think is very, very great in For Honor. I really like that they mixed up different things, like historical things in some areas and other things in other areas, and that is very nice. I think for that being more new flavor to it all. Yeah,
It really comes out from those outfits with all the embroidery, the silver threads, those beautiful armors that actually really are pretty historically accurate. You did a really great job on that. So
Feels rich. You know?
Yeah.
It does.
Even the way it moves, when you're gonna see him fighting, them fighting.
Yeah, the
yeah. I really like this one with it's the priest, like the priest priest crown for the priest. I really like that. I think it's very common if you have read the book Journey to the West with like the Monkey King, the priests with them have this kind of hat, and I think this hat are very, very common in the Tang dynasty for priests, like for people like the monasteries in the Chinese, in the temples, and it's a symbol of, I don't know the name, but this is a priest kind of thing, and it's,
And the
Sense of,
animation
like,
is pretty nice.
The elegance of like.
And this one was inspired by the monk from the
Oh,
Monkey
so that's a
King.
monk's coif that
Yeah.
he's wearing.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one was inspired by the Big Mike.
Before the beard left.
Before the beard?
Yes.
Before you burnt
Or
your beard.
It could be, before my beard was singed off by strange alchemical experiments.
It's gonna grow
But
back.
we had JJ's son right there.
Maybe not.
Well, it's really nice with those silverish, goldish
Yes.
embroidery. Is that
I really like this one with the silver and the green. I really like this one. I really like this combination when they use green, like a light green, and like a almost like turquoise blue, and with some gray gold, silver gray gold style. And I really like this color combination. It's very, very nice. And I think, I think for me is the wulin faction the most great. It must have the most greatest most greatest colors to the armors and embroidery, like clothing embroidery. So I really like this one. I'm going to be very interested to try different helmets to different clothing to do different. You can change, like you can use a different helmet to different armor. So you don't need to have exactly the armor they choose in that order. You can also use a different helmet to a different armor. And this will be very nice to mix and try up different things and see how they look like with the different, if you place different clothing to different helmet and so on, this kind of thing. Yeah.
paint pattern goes underneath, so it kind of enrich all the paint patterns that the players can use.
Yeah.
Very nice. We did that on